A Muslim country has banned the hijab? Wait, what? Which country? Let's have a look.
To put these kinds of authoritarian measures so that you will civilize the population. Then when the population is sufficiently civilized, you've basically beaten religion out of them, then you can give them freedom of speech and freedom of association, etc.
Okay.
When it comes to foreign influence, there's a lot of foreign influence in Tajikistan. One is the United States. So it's interesting. April, $18 million comes from the US to Tajikistan.
That's a lot.
Then in June, they banned hijab.
So they basically sold out in Tajikistan.
The Central Asian nation of Tajikistan officially prohibited the wearing of hijabs and other alien garments this week.
How is it an alien garment when like 90% probably of your population is Muslim? Like how many are there Muslim? I think the next time I checked it was over 90%, right? Because I know about like certain countries like Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and like that makes no sense. Even Kazakhstan, right? There are like a lot of Muslims. Why would they do this? It's a Muslim country. I'm very confused. Let's get to the bottom of this and find out more. So it's Tajikistan.
As the country's parliament passed a new bill regulating Islamic clothing and Eid celebrations.
Wait, what? That too?
The bill approved by the upper house of parliament on June 19th comes after years of an unofficial clampdown on the hijab in the Muslim-majority country. Under the new law, individuals wearing hijabs or other banned religious clothing could face hefty fines of up to $700. Companies allowing employees to wear prohibited garments risk penalties of $3,500. Government officials and religious leaders face even steeper fines of $4,800 to $5,100 if found in violation. The bill also restricts children's participation in festivities and gift-giving traditions associated with the Islamic holidays of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha.
Yo, I think it has just become haram for Muslims to live in that country. Okay, you ban hijab at schools and at work. Now, you can compromise by saying, okay, then my kids are just not going to school, right? Because going to school is not fard in Islam, right? You can do homeschool. That's another alternative. You can send your kids abroad to study and then come back when they're adults. This is also an option, right? But now they ban even Eid festivals. Now this country has literally, by doing this country has become, Allahu Alam, you have to ask a scholar, but from what I've learned is if a country prohibits you from practicing your religion, what does that mean? That means you can't do Eid. It forbids you from fasting. You will get a punishment for fasting. 5 prayers are suddenly forbidden. If a country forbids the fard, at this point, even if it's just one, the country becomes, from what I've learned, haram for you as a Muslim to live in, and you must do the hijrah. That means you're no longer allowed to live in this country. Now, do we have this in the West? No. Even in France, we don't have that. Why? Why is France still halal? Because France says school and work prohibits the wearing of the hijab. That means the women can just not longer go to school or work in companies if they want to stick to Islam and not sell out their religion, right? Now, other alternatives, there's something called homeschool. I've researched this. You can actually, even in France, do something called homeschool, right? I've spoken with people. Can you do jobs that you are the own boss, where you run your company and you can wear the hijab still in France, for example? Yes, you can. Can you work from home with the computer? Yes, you can. Can you make a big TikTok channel, start, I don't know, a YouTube channel, do vlogs, whatever, as a sister in France? Yes, you can. So is France halal for you to live in as a Muslim? Yes, it's still, because you can still follow fard and you have alternatives. But here in Tajikistan, if you cannot celebrate Eid, something's wrong here, like seriously. And in the hijab, is it really just in school and work, or is it on the street too? Yo, let's learn more about this. This is extreme. They are worse than a Islamophobic Western country. Like, they are literally worse than the worst countries in the West for Muslims. Because even the worst countries in the West for Muslims right now, with the most strict laws against Muslims, they look like very easy in comparison to this.
Government officials stated these measures aim to ensure proper education and safety of children during the holidays.
How is it
No
not
part
safe?
of the world has been subject to harsher measures against Islam than in Central Asia, especially over the past 200 years. And these harsh measures have been justified on the basis of two ideologies. One of those ideologies is liberalism, and the other ideology is communism. Liberalism and communism are related ideologies. In fact, the way that I categorize communism, I categorize it as a sub-ideology of liberalism. Because why? Liberalism as an ideology.
I actually think monarchy means there are kings and queens, is better than communism. Like seriously, like I had once a discussion with someone. If I think communism is good, and I said to that person, I think monarchy is actually better than communism, because if you have a just leader, or one that is maybe religious, like the country can turn out even better than if you have like a communist party that is totally corrupt and like gangsters, like a mafia running a country. Like it's better to have a just king than to have a mafia run a country, like seriously.
Tries to maximize individual freedom and equality. You know, that's the central aim of liberalism, maximizing individual freedom and equality. Communism also wants to maximize freedom and equality, and it just has a certain prescription for how to do that. Therefore,
it's
communism
fake freedom.
is a sub-ideology of liberalism. Socialism is a sub-ideology of liberalism. Feminism is a sub-ideology of liberalism, etc. Because they're all based on how do we maximize individual freedom and equality.
Yeah, but this is actually a contradiction to what they're teaching. Because if there's true liberalism, that means you can do whatever you want, right? If I wanted to pray 10 times on the street in public, I can do this. This is liberalism. If I want to call myself now a donkey or a monkey or, I don't know, a unicorn, I'm allowed to do this, right? If I want to wear the niqab, I'm allowed to do this. If I want to go out in bikini, underwear, I'm allowed to do this. Like true liberalism has any side. It has the side you can wear a lot of clothes or you can wear up to no clothes. You can name yourself a he, she, it or an animal. You can also stick to a more conservative view and be like, you know what, I believe the family system is husband, wife and child, for example, right? So true liberalism protects both sides. The one that wants to totally expose themselves, change their identity, and those that want to stick to their fitra and keep their natural identity of how they came to this world and stick to their religious principles as well, right? So this is all fake liberalism, because liberalism would protect both sides of the coin, right? Like the ones that want to totally expose themselves, have no shame, and the ones that want to be modest, right? So those countries, even with communism, if they ban the hijab or something like that, they are not true liberals, because this is not freedom. It's not equality, because equality and freedom means both sides are protected by law, right? Like you can't go to a woman in bikini or a person that calls himself now not human but donkey, or that marries a donkey or whatever, and you can like punish the person because this person enjoys freedom and protection. But you can also not go to the sister with a niqab and say you have to take this off, even at work, because then you're actually destroying and ruining your principles and rules where you promise everyone total freedom. So both sides should be able to do whatever, but this is not the case. That means that they are totally corrupt, liars and fakes.
So in the late 19th century, the Russian Empire repressed Islamic belief and practice in Central Asia. This was done in the name of liberalism. So the 19th century, and prior to that, Russia had become liberalized. They had adopted liberalism as the law of the land, basically, and then the Russian Empire had conquered Central Asia and the Muslims in those regions, and they imposed this liberal ideology.
Tajikistan has seen an influx of Islamic clothing from the Middle East in recent years, which authorities view as linked to extremism and a threat to the country's cultural identity. In a March address, President Emomali Rahmon referred to the hijab as foreign clothing.
Ha!
Ironically,
Isn't he a Muslim?
they have no problem with foreign clothing coming from the West.
Yes.
Since 2007, the hijab has been banned for students, with the prohibition later extending to all public institutions. Authorities have also informally discouraged
I wouldn't
bushy
want to
beards
live in that
men,
country.
with reports of police forcibly shaving thousands of beards over.
Okay, so you have the Hells Angels biker gang take a trip to Tajikistan, or the Christian pastor with the long beard appear there, or the Orthodox one. Aren't those... I think, yeah, Russian Orthodox priests in Christianity, they also have beards. Like look at like a lot of priests in Russia from the Orthodox Church. They're actually also wearing beards, right? So what if a tourist comes from Russia that is a strict Orthodox Christian? Are they gonna shave the beard too there? Are they gonna get into an argument with Putin? Like what are they trying to do there? And what about like heavy metal fans or people that are in a biker gang or something? Everyone is wearing beards. It's also for fashion. There are a lot of actors even, or famous people that are atheists that have beards. Beards is a trend. It stands for masculinity and manliness, right? If you want to be more manly and more masculine, and you want to wear the beard, no matter your religion, why are you now forbidden to wear this? This is human rights. If you want to shave your hair, you want to be a bald guy, do it. This is human rights. You can have bald head if you want to. You want to use some hairspray and style your hair and have like some mohawk or whatever. This is human rights, right? If you want to grow a beard, do it. Like, what is their problem? They're not just attacking religion. They're attacking regular freedom of people, even by shaving beards.
Over the past decade,
It's not
human
only
rights
Muslims that have
organizations have
beards.
criticized Tajikistan's hijab ban
It's
as a
ridiculous.
violation of religious freedom. With Muslims comprising over 98% of the population, the law is likely to face significant opposition within Tajik society
Oh, it will.
as it goes into effect.
There'll be mass
Tajikistan, a
demonstrations.
former Soviet republic with a population of about 8 million, is a predominantly Muslim nation. Imam Ali Rahman, himself a Muslim by upbringing, is secular and has tried to curtail religious freedoms by linking religiosity to extremism.
He needs some dawah
Tajik
for
is
sure.
the official language of the country and is a dialect originating from Farsi and Dari, which comes from Iran and Afghanistan. The Tajiks are the most prominent indigenous non-Turkic population.
Yo, seriously, some Islamic scholar needs to sit on the table with this Rahman guy, this president of Tajikistan. Like, he needs to really meet a scholar in Islam and sit with him, because if he's a Muslim, and wasn't there like a picture of him doing Umrah or something, right? If he's a religious guy, he has at least a bit of faith, like he should really seek out Islamic scholar. If he has any issues within his country of certain groups, whatever, like he should get some advice from an Islamic scholar, one that studied Islam, and do the right thing, but not this. This is definitely wrong. May Allah guide this individual. I mean,
Dialect originating
It's not
from
correct.
Farsi and Dari, which comes from Iran and Afghanistan. The Tajiks are the most prominent indigenous non-Turkic population in Central Asia. They are of Persian ethnic descent, although their exact origin is subject to debate. It's clear that historically,
Are
they are
mixed
a people
people
who
too.
mixed with other cultures
Yeah.
to become what they are today. From their religion, language, ethnicity, culture and food, they have always had influence from other countries and cultures. Some of the famous Islamic scholars were from either modern or historical East Iranian regions lying in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, and therefore can arguably be viewed as Tajiks. They include Abu Hanifa, Imam Bukhari, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Nasir Khusro, and many others.
a lot of hadith
So why
scholars.
is there this attack on Islamic practices? If the population is 98%
Oh, it's
Muslim,
98%
they
even.
should respect the people and allow the
92.
population to follow the Islamic rules set by Allah. So it has to be asked who or what is influencing the elite of the nation to enforce such rules onto their people.
So you restrict freedom of religion, you restrict speech, you restrict freedom of association. Only after the influence of religion has been broken is it possible to remove these structures. So you have people like John Stuart Mill on liberty, his famous book, which he lays out these liberal principles. He says that, well, when it comes to savage lands or lands that are full of barbarians,
have no religion?
You will impose a liberal order through force, and you have to restrict speech, you have to restrict freedom to associate, you have to put these kinds of authoritarian measures so that you will civilize the population. Then when the population is sufficiently civilized, you've basically beaten religion out of them, then you can give them freedom of speech and freedom of association, etc. Imagine the Taliban in Afghanistan said that, yeah, we'll give people freedom of religion, but we just have to make sure that we control all the schools and we educate all the children in hardcore Sharia. We influence them. We make sure all children are memorizing Quran and Hadith. And once they fully become civilized, where they're practicing Muslims who have memorized the Quran and have long beards and the women are completely covered, once they've reached that level of enlightenment, of civilization, then they can say whatever they want. And then they can associate with whoever they want. Obviously,
this is not a good way, by the way. What I always teach people that are new to Islam, and this is something I think a lot of Islamic countries should do as well, you have to make them not doubtful in their religion, and in order to do that they need to be able to study other religions and find the contradictions there, right? So let's say you're in a Muslim country and you never teach your kids in the school about Christianity or Judaism or Buddhism or something. If they ever go abroad, they have no arguments or defense for their religion, and they can get full of doubts by just simple things like saying, oh, we also have a holy book. There's someone called Jesus, peace be upon him. He's God and he died for our sins and he's the savior and this and that. Now, if you did not learn as a kid, as a Muslim, about Christianity, and they come with arguments in like a debate or something, you have no protection and your doubts are going even higher, because now you know all about your religion, but you don't know about others, and you don't know if there are any mistakes in their religion, and they always just tell you the beautiful side of their religion, and you maybe get emotionally driven or drawn towards that. You maybe even leave your faith. Why? Because you had no clue about the other faith, and maybe if even after some years you discover, oh, there are errors in the Bible. Wait a second. Judas died twice in the Bible. Wait a second. In Matthew 26, verse 39, Jesus prayed in alayhi salam in sujood to Allah. Wait, what? He can't be God if he prays to God. Or like, there are certain things, right? And if you're not prepared as a Muslim for those sort of arguments coming to you as Christians, if you ever travel abroad, you could actually fall out of your religion because you were not properly educated in other fields. Another thing is coexistence. If you're a country that is a Muslim country, and you can look at the caliphs of the past, radiallahu anhum, they had interactions and trade with non-Muslims, but in order to understand non-Muslims and their customs, you also need to be educated in that. If you're raising a future generation as kids and you want them to maybe one day become the new president or caliph or something, they need to understand the foreign countries and know a bit about their language and customs, because otherwise you can have good relations to abroad, right? So I think should you teach maybe people to become Hafiz in Quran, know it by heart, learn everything about their religion? Yes, I think that's a good thing. So if they do this in Afghanistan, mashallah, Allahumma barik, but keep a door open to also have them learn about the rest of the world and other religions, also as a protection to not get doubts if they ever go abroad, and they actually know what they believe in, and they make comparisons with their own belief, and they know why their belief is right and the other one isn't, or what are the contradictions in their faith. You need to teach a broader view to the kids of everything, so they have more world understanding. They can be friends with everyone. They can do active dawah as well, because it's bad for dawah if you don't learn about others as well. So how can you spread Islam if you don't know the others? Yeah.
Liberals would say that's not freedom. That's the opposite of freedom. You've indoctrinated them. You've imposed this religion onto them. Well, this is exactly what John Stuart Mill advocates, unironically. He unironically says that we have to civilize them, basically indoctrinate the population into liberalism. Then when they're sufficiently secularized and liberalized, then they can say whatever they want. Then they can do it. Once we've fully entrenched our ideology into the fabric of society, then you can say and do whatever you want. This is transparent hypocrisy. The period of liberal authoritarianism began in the 18th century under Russian rulers like Peter the Great and Catherine the Great, tightly restricted freedom of speech, religion, and association for all their subjects, including the Orthodox Christian majority as well as the large Muslim minority. So they're not only repressing Muslims, they're also repressing Christians. That's part of the liberal program. It's an attack on all traditional religions.
Because they make money with sins and stuff, right? Like, they're like gangsters, some of them, right? So if you have like any religion, be it like Orthodox Christianity or Islam, they will say, oh, you can't sin anymore, you can't do this, you can't betray people, you can't lie to people, you must treat your civilians fair and just, you must do this and that. Like, for those in power, they are extremely afraid because they feel like, oh, if people are religious, that means I don't have individual power anymore because they will obey the religious laws and principles before they obey me. And this is what like a lot of world rulers are afraid of, that their own people will not listen to them, but listen to their faith and their principles and their Sharia, basically, right? This is also like, this is almost like a formula of like, people want to become themselves like God, right? Like, some rulers actually are super arrogant and they're actually doing exactly what Iblis, Shaitan, loves. And they view themselves as almost God, some of them, and they have like people worship them almost. This is also a form of shirk. Like, you should never put any world leader even before Allah. You should never do this. Allah should always come first. And the same for Christians. They put God always first, right? This is sad.
Religions, not just Islam.
It's very disturbing.
When it comes to foreign influence, there's a lot of foreign influence in Tajikistan. One is the United States.
But
The
Russia
US
too.
Since 1991, has been giving Tajikistan aid to bolster their education, health, food security, and economic connectivity. So we're talking about millions of dollars given to Tajikistan. And when you go to US Aid, you go to their website, look at what you see. You know, little girls at school not wearing hijab, like wearing colorful clothes. This is on
rainbow
the
colors,
US Aid
yeah.
website. And what's interesting, there's an $18 million initiative to boost economic growth in Tajikistan that was announced this past April. So it's interesting. April, $18 million comes from the US to Tajikistan, and then in June, they banned hijab. Are these things related? Allahu Alam. But it's like a play ball type of thing. Like, okay, the US
Strange
is very
that it happens at this time,
about
right?
the rise of Islamism, the rise of Islamic or pan-Islamism, like this kind of connection between Muslims across the globe into this overall global Islamic network. The US is very concerned about this, especially when you have Iran, when you have Afghanistan. You're worried about Pakistan as well. Nuclear armed Pakistan, like they're very concerned about clamping down on Islamic influence. So even within Tajikistan, like how can you strike a blow against Islam? Maybe there's a connection there with the new hijab ban. Allahu Alam.
That is actually really sad, but yeah, I wonder why suddenly a bill comes and then the hijab ban is gone. Wasn't there like another... Wait, didn't someone say that this comes because of this, what happens at the shopping mall in Russia, and that some people were from Tajikistan, and the president, as an apology to Putin, said, oh, I forbid this now so we can have good relations again or something. Isn't this because of what happened in Russia at this mall, this tragedy there? No. But that is actually very, very strange. Like, if you have 98% of Muslims is a population and only 2% of other faiths, why would you ban the hijab and eat? Like, banning the hijab is one thing, but why would you ban eat? And soon, what is next? Banning the fasting on Ramadan? Mosques can no longer do the adhan and call for prayer. Like what is coming next? This is what's actually shocking, right? Because if a country is able to ban one thing and a second thing, what is going to be the third thing? Maybe they're going to take even more rights away. Maybe soon you can't even read the Quran anymore. A'udhu billah. Like what's happening next? Like this country is going into a very strange direction, and I'm not sure if they have fair elections in this country, but if I was a Muslim citizen living in this country and I love my faith, I would not vote for this president again that makes such laws. Is there even like a fair election? Is there even some sort of democracy? I would, if I was a Muslim, I would look for that candidate that allows the hijab again and says, hey, we allow Eid again. And then all the Muslims come together and vote for this individual. I'm not sure if they have fair votes, but if they do, I would not vote for this candidate, this president currently again, that bans such. I would wait 2-3 years and then have this guy out of office by having someone better replace him. But yeah, those areas and communism and how like the mafia basically runs the country in a way, right? Like we don't know if there's any fair election at all there, but if there is, vote a different candidate, please. If there are new elections, make sure this guy is out of office. Because it has just become haram for you to even as a Muslim live there if they actually restrict you from practicing your faith. Like you're better off at this point to move to France, for example, from Tajikistan. Because it seems like in France you even have no more rights and people are complaining, oh, in France you can't wear the hijab at school and this and that. But look at like Tajikistan, you can't even go to eat and you can't even in public places wear the hijab and stuff. Like what is this? This is ridiculous. It's not just schools, it's everywhere. And it's already bad at schools, don't get me wrong. Like any restriction in Islam in a country is very bad. But this is out of control. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And if you found this video informative, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time, inshallah.